Hello guys, welcome to today's video. It is a much more easygoing video than usual because today I'll be making a little tier list of weapons that I personally feel are best for beginners. Now, I want to give a disclaimer right at the start. This is my list. This is how I played the game. This is how I know these weapons, how I feel about them. And you or anybody else may feel different about that. I will just simply list my weapons here, tell you why I did it, and yeah, that is kind of it. I'll be looking both at the cost, how hard it is to use them correctly, and if they're really easy to learn overall. Because the thing is, a weapon may be hard to use but easy to learn. Or it may be easy to learn but hard to master. And that's kind of the things I'm going for. One thing that I will be starting off immediately is the Crownman King, Auto 5. This gun immediately for me goes into B tier. The main reason being, it's a no-brainer. It's a semi-automatic shotgun, meaning it absolutely decimates in close range, which is good. But it does come with a very steep price tag of $600. That means that yet again, for beginners, it's not really ideal because you may die a lot after the permadeath ends. So losing these things constantly will just drive you into bankruptcy. And that's why I'm putting it in B tier, because it's not a bad gun by any means. But it is just simply very hard to learn, to just simply survive with it. You need to know exactly how to play a shotgun, when to push, which risks to take and which you don't, so you don't constantly lose these. So I'm going to put it in B tier because the finances and the fact that Hunt is a very fast-paced game where split-second decisions mean life or death may lead to this thing being used wrong and you losing a shit ton of money. Next is the bomb launcher. And this weapon goes into D tier. The reason it goes into D tier is because, unlike the bomb lance, for example, this thing doesn't have the blade. That means that it's already harder to use. Then there's the fact that without bolt thrower, which is a higher level perk, I think level 32, the thing reloads really, really slowly. And then there's the fact that it's very niche and somebody new may just be overwhelmed / not understand how this thing works correctly. And I feel that unless you know how to use steel ball ammo, dragon's breath ammo, or even the harpoon ammo correctly, which is, one of the most important ammo types, this is pretty much a waste of money. Even if it isn't very expensive, this is not a beginner-friendly weapon. Stay the fuck away from it. That's my advice for it. Just do not use it because it will just simply not treat you well if you don't know what you're doing. Next is the Centennial. The Centennial is going into A tier. The main reason I'm putting it into A tier is it's relatively easy to use and you can't really do much wrong with it. The only real thing that you can screw up with it is sending away shots into nothingness. The thing is, my advice with the Centennial is this thing will treat you well. It has a lot of good things. It has a large mag capacity at 10 rounds. It does good damage, not the greatest, but good. It's very steady when used with Iron Eye. It's very solid due to its range and velocity. And it has access to quite a few good custom ammos depending on what you prefer. I personally use FMJ on it, rarely some poison. And I especially like using Dum Dum on it when I find it in the matches. So it's an overall pretty solid gun that I'd recommend new players try out to just simply try and see some of the stronger hitting weapons. Why is it not S tier? Well, it does only get 20 rounds in total, which is a bit sad. And it does fire pretty slow if you're not using levering in close range, as well as the fact that it's just simply a gun that doesn't do the most damage even in the medium ammo category and is outclassed by a later mention. So we shall see that in a second. Next up is the Crossbow. The Crossbow honestly also goes into D tier. And the main reason for that is the fact that it obviously has flight time. It's single shot with yet again another long reload. And you need to know how to use it and aim it. Because the thing is, the crossbow is obviously immediately affected by drop, and although it's not immediately noticeable from the get-go, that still means that it's not as easy to use as a rifle. Plus, the velocity needed for it mean that at medium distances, or even like short to medium, you may already miss a shot that you would not miss with a rifle. And if you don't get the drop on the enemy, they may just gun you down, especially if they have something rapid firing. That means as much as I like the crossbow and the bomb launcher, they both go into D tier. Not beginner-friendly weapons. Should be left when you know the game for a bit, you know how to position yourself, how to sneak up on people, and when you know how to handle gunfights and engagements as a whole. Next is the drilling. The drilling goes into C tier. The reason the drilling goes into C tier is quite simple. A YouTuber once perfectly summed it up by saying the drilling is both the best and the worst weapon of the game at the same time. It's very good if you have 50% headshot rate or 100% body shot rate, but it's the worst if you miss. And I can attest to that. Plus, its shotgun is very wonky to the point where sometimes it will solid one hit, other times you will be left scratching your head. And I feel that such a weapon that is complicated may not be the best, on top of its very steep price tag. And so I feel that a weapon that requires patience, good aim, and know-how simply isn't that solid. Why am I not ranking it in D tier if it has so many drawbacks? I still feel that the drilling does give you some good things over the bottom two, mainly being a conventional rifle that can take Dum Dum. Dum Dum is a beginner's best friend because it allows you to make enemies bleed at the cost of wall penetration, and I honestly feel that people, especially in the beginning, may not wallbang that much, so having that ability to pressure the enemy is quite good. And the ability to switch to a shotgun may help people that are fighting in close range but don't really know how to handle slower weapons in those ranges. Next is the good old Ranger. The good old Frontier. The Frontier is a budget version of the Ranger or the Infantry, depending on which variant you base it off. It's pretty solid. It has a high fire rate, low-ish damage for rifle standards, but it does come with a plethora of variants, and it obviously allows you to lever it, which gives it great close-range performance. There is nothing more satisfying than just running a Frontier, Ranger, or Infantry, just having levering, just holding left click in close range, just absolutely mowing down enemies that are not careful with themselves. Sure, if you run into a shotgun or similar strong weapon, you may not do so well, but for what you unlock early on, this thing is great, especially if you want to save the maximum amount of cash compared to using something like the Ranger or the Infantry, which are more expensive, although they do not break your bank. That means that this gun is perfect for new players. It has easy to learn bullet drop. Once you go above the drop range, its ammo is super easy to acquire, and it's dirt cheap. I think it's $41, which is a steal. Like literally, you can run those things on end. You get them from free hunters that you can recruit. Literally, one of the best beginner weapons in the game, if not the best, simply due to the fact that it's so readily available. It fires decently fast. It has access to levering. It has solid hipfire. It's a great gun, and I would suggest that you stick to it early on to learn repeating rifles. Next up, we have the Haymaker, which goes into D tier. The main reason it goes into D tier is because it's a $300 pistol, quote unquote, with a shotgun on it. I didn't want to mention the Haymaker here, but I feel like it's not really a secondary by definition, so I'm bringing it here. The problem is it has 9 rounds in the cylinder and a very slow fire rate. Its recoil is very weird, and it fires so slow, being a rifle caliber pistol. This means that it's not really the most beginner-friendly thing, and I feel like there are much better things, especially considering that it has a decent bit of sway. It kicks like a horse, as I said, and you need to hit your shots. Yet again, the hunt, genuinely speaking, has a rule where the bigger the caliber, or in this case compact, medium, or large, the worse the fire rate, but the higher the damage. So having high damage on a pistol like this, which has very bad handling, quote unquote, means that it's not exactly the most beginner friendly, especially if you as a beginner make many mistakes regarding positioning or needing to run away. So having a very slow and clunky weapon that also limits your potential primary weapon / secondary weapon is not very good. I'd suggest you stay off this one till you've gained some more experience, and then you can try to pick it up in a 2-2 loadout or in a 3-2 loadout, for example. Next is the bow, and the bow also kind of goes into D tier. The main reason why all the projectile weapons went into D tier is quite simple. They're projectile weapons. Instant drop pretty much. Slow velocity, duh. It's a bow, it's not a magic railgun. And the fact that especially the bow slows you down when you draw it. Meaning that if you're sneaking around, not a problem. But if you're trying to be somewhat more aggressive, it just holds you back. The bow is one of the most solid weapons to play once you do get the hang of it. But I'd suggest when you're just fresh out of boot camp, you not use it. Like, just use conventional guns. You're much less outclassed. From a weapon perspective, sure, if you run into a bow player, he will just dominate you if he's good. But I can't really say, oh yeah, use the bow just because somebody else may use it on you. This means that the bow simply just belongs in D tier due to how hard it is to use for new players and the fact that it can't really do much more besides close range. Like, yes, you can try medium range, but there its damage drops off quite severely due to it being, well, string propelled / draw strength operated. And yeah, first having to hit that shot with a very basic sight. So my opinion is try it out later when you're better, but stay away from it from now. Next we have the Krag. The Krag kind of goes into B tier. The main reason why the Krag goes into B tier is quite simple. The Krag is one of the more expensive bolt actions, also, although not the most expensive bolt action. The reason I'm putting it in B tier and the others potentially not so well is quite simple. It's the fastest firing bolt action in the game. This means that the normal punishing fire rate of bolt actions is compensated by a higher fire rate. Its damage is not as good, but you'll still reliably two-shot hunters up to most ranges, meaning that it doesn't really matter if you can get the two-tap quicker than other guns. The reason it's in B tier is due to the steep price tag of $450 hunt and the fact that it's still a long ammo gun. That means it gets very little ammo. It gets one round more than the other guns, but otherwise you literally do not get a lot of ammo, so missing your shots is very punishing. And that may be very likely due to the high fire rate and the potential panic ensuing when you get pushed by your first enemies that aren't bots. So my suggestion is try it out, maybe, but do not lean on it. Use any of the other weapons I will recommend in S and A tier, and then just simply see if you really need the Krag, because my opinion is just stay away from it unless you really need it, / have gotten good enough at the game or find it on an enemy. Otherwise, it's a great weapon. Then we get to the Lebel. The Lebel is a very weird weapon for me to rank. I'm gonna put it at C tier. The main reason being it has a very large magazine, which is much better than something like the Mosin in the long ammo category, but it's worse than the Krag, even though it's cheaper, because of the fact that it fires slower. The problem that I have with slow fire rates is a great thing that I noticed, or not so great thing that I noticed with new players, is that they have a tendency to panic. As soon as the first shot is hit or about to be hit, they start panicking, trying to shoot at the enemy and suppress them. The problem is, Hunt is not Battlefield. It doesn't feature a suppression system, meaning that just blindly sending rounds, I know that it is from panic, doesn't affect the enemy. All it does is drain your resources and throw off your aim as you panic and panic more, not getting that vital hit marker to turn the tide or even it out. But the 10-round capacity of the Lebel does make it quite easy to use for a long ammo rifle. Having 10 rounds ensures that even with some shittier aim, you can still do it. Although, as I said, it's an expensive weapon, it fires slow, shouldn't be your first choice. Then we have the Martini Henry. The Martini Henry goes into A tier. The main reason the Martini Henry goes into A tier is it's a breech loader, which means it's inherently cheap, and it's one of the cheapest long ammo rifles out there, if not the cheapest. It comes at over $100, just slightly, I think. But yeah, it fires pretty quick even without the fast fingers trait, which is recommended for these kinds of rifles. And it has the ability to switch between 2 ammo types, giving it versatility on top of that. This allows you to learn long ammo and the philosophy behind it pretty easily. The main reason why I'm only sticking it in A tier is because of the fact that its velocity is really slow. This gun really struggles at range due to the low velocity. This may not really be an issue, especially early on, if you're going for more close range or being ambushed more, but it may bite you in the ass later in your rounds. So I suggest that you just simply use this gun to try it out, learn some long ammo, but don't lean on it too much since it's very stupid at range and you will struggle to hit what you aim for. Next is the Maynard Sniper, and this weapon instantly goes into C tier. The main reason why it goes into C tier is due to the fact that the Maynard has a single shot, a 6-second reload, and is really only useful by switching between sniping people and hip firing. And if you can't really master that hip fire or hit your sniper shots, this gun really stinks. And you may say, oh yeah, sniping is pretty easy, just stay back. Yeah, but it's a medium ammo gun, plus you may trigger the bullet drop. This means that it's a very hard to learn weapon, and I'd suggest experimenting with it first. Perhaps get free hunters first, so you could just learn it without a major consequence. But do remember you have a single shot and you need to make it count. Its hipfire is great, and if you find dum-dum ammo on the map, even better. It does have the capability to take 2 ammo types, which is great, but it has a fixed sniper scope, which is the highest magnification in the game, which means that aiming it in close range is pretty much impossible, and while it does compensate for that with hipfire, some people may just simply not feel like it, or feel gravitated towards using hipfire. Although I would strongly recommend doing so due to the fact that hipfire is a strength in close range. I have a ridiculous clip of me just hipfiring somebody at 20 to 30 meters in my Maynard guide, and it's absolutely ridiculous. This gun's hipfire is bloody disgusting, and I love it. Next is the Ranger 73, another S tier gun for me. It's basically a Frontier, except it has no scoped variants or silenced variants. Therefore, it does compensate for that with the Swift variant. The Swift variant is a levering user's wet dream. You refill your magazines by using 2 rounds and then 2 speed loaders of, I think, 6 rounds each. This makes this gun so fast to reload. I love it. There's nothing more fun for me than to just send all my rounds down range and not feel scared when I see that my magazine's empty, because I know my character just takes out 2 tubes of ammo, shoves them in the gun, and I'm ready to go for a long while. This gun is amazing, and the Talon variant is an absolute melee monster, meaning that you can take the Talon variant to ensure that you can do damage to bosses and armors, which is great, or whip it out against a player in a pinch. Super good, especially early on. Plus the Swift variant makes you go easier on ammo management. No longer do you have to fear on forgetting to reload or check your ammo. If you hear the click, just retreat, pop in those 2 speed loaders, and send the enemy to Jesus and beyond. It's a great gun. I wish more people used it. And that's kind of what isn't really happening. You will see the occasional Ranger, but you will not really see many people use it. Most people gravitate towards the meta guns or something like dual pistols, perhaps Vetali, maybe some shotguns or a bow. But in my experience, you will not really see the Ranger much, especially in the higher MMRs, which I personally find sad, since, well, yes, not the greatest velocity, and it's compact ammo. I feel that it's a great gun across most MMRs, and especially for beginners, due to its easy handling and no-nonsense variants. Except the aperture, do not use that. It's not useful, it's the worst of both worlds, it's not as good as a scope, it's not as good as an iron sight. Yeah, just stay away from the aperture and you're good to go. Next is the Calwell Rival. This double barrel shotgun instantly goes into D tier. The main reason it goes into D tier, even though I use it quite often myself, is something that shotguns need: reliability. The Rival does not have that. The Rival's reliability is about that of a Chieftain engine, which is a 90% breakdown rate, meaning that you will not really rely on that gun. While it is fun to play with Flechette, Dragon's Breath, or Penny Shot, maybe even some slugs if you're more experienced in the game, it's simply not good. Having an unreliable weapon, especially as a beginner, and having that be a shotgun, yeah, recipe for disaster. Because if you don't one-shot the enemy may just melee you or just kill you if they already got a shot on you while you're standing 2 feet from them trying to kill them. Yeah, that is simply not that good. And while one could say its 2-tap potential is better, yeah, but 2-tap for a beginner isn't really good, especially on shotguns. And especially not on a shotgun like this, which only has 2 shots. So if you already whiff the first one, the second one doesn't kill, you better start praying that your pistol whip will. So it's pretty expensive for a beginner, not reliable, stay away from it. Next is the Romero, and the Romero honestly goes into A tier. The main reason I put it into A tier, although it only has 1 shot compared to the Rivals 2, is quite simple. This thing is the definition of reliability. Good range, good hipfire, cheap as fuck, and really fun to use. You don't forget to reload, because usually you know that you only have 1 shot and you don't even try anything else. It can be used at medium range to try and 2-tap, and it has the ability to bring 2 ammo types, allowing you combos such as Buckshot, Dragon's Breath for burn body, Buckshot, Slugs for good range / firing through crowded spaces. It's just an overall solid shotgun. It can even take Penny Shot against bosses or AI, or just to meme on players. This makes it really, really fun. And it's instantly available to you for the cheap price of I don't know how many dollars. It's not many though. And this is basically what your first shotgun should be because of its reliability. It allows you to experiment with shotgun tactics and get close. It allows you to fire from the hip without worrying about killing that guy. And that is what makes it so good. It's a solid beginner shotgun that doesn't range into the overpowered. And that's why I recommend the Romero as your starting shotgun. Next is the Slate. The Slate for me goes into A tier. And the reason is quite simple. The Slate is a good weapon that doesn't have any immediate drawbacks. It doesn't really need any perks to be useful, and it is pretty reliable. The emphasis lies on pretty reliable, not perfect. The Romero is still the most reliable out of the shotguns, but if you're going multi-shot and have some cash laying around / want to try something more exquisite, this is a good beginner shotgun, simply due to the fact that you get multiple shots in your magazine and have a very solid gun behind that. While it does contradict a bit of the expensive points that I mentioned earlier, I feel that if you're already looking for a repeating shotgun, but maybe don't have bullet grubber or the experience to use the others, the Slate is a solid pick, especially since you can find these free in the world, which you cannot do with some of the other shotguns, like the Spectre, for example, or the Auto 5. Sure, there's also the Terminus which you can find, but that one yet again requires perks to be solid. The Slate can be found in the world and be solid from the get-go, so I personally kind of let that slide a bit due to personal bias. I personally feel Slate is a great gun, versatile, no bullshit, no perks needed. Very good. You should try it when you find it, pick it off an enemy, or, just have the money to try it or want to try it before that money is gone. Next, we have the Sparks LRR. The Sparks LRR goes into A tier. The main reason why it also goes into A tier is many similar reasons to the Martini Henry, but it also does its job a bit differently. The Sparks LRR prioritizes hitting your shot compared to being fast. Because if you do so, the enemy goes down to 1 HP while he is within 40 meters, meaning that they have nothing left to fight you with and will shit their pants in the process. This gun is very good if you're not yet good at the game, to just simply sit in the back of the team, take pot shots at the enemy, hit those shots in the torso area or potentially even get a headshot, and making sure that the enemies don't have utility. There is nothing scarier, in my opinion, than you hearing a Sparks whiz past you and knowing that it didn't hit you. Or even worse, seeing your health just go down to 1 HP. Next, we have the good old Spectre 1882. This gun, for me, goes into C tier. The main reason it goes into C tier, even though I love this gun, is because, yet again, just like the rival, reliability. Why is it going to C tier then? Well, it does have 4, or if you have Bullet Grubber, 5 shots compared to the rival's 2 shots. Meaning that you have much more chances to get that kill, as well as it having a much more reliable range and solid fire rate for a pump action shotgun, while not being as expensive. I still do put it in C tier though, because the Bullet Grubber system / the bullet lost on a non-empty reload system may be confusing to new players, and may create situations where they accidentally reload out of Call of Duty habit, losing shells in the process, which is not really good in a game like Hunt, where ammo management can be important, especially if spawn points aren't in your favor. The thing also comes with solid ammo types. It has pretty much access to every ammo type except flare, which does make it a solid gun, since you can run penny shot, dragon's breath, flechette, slugs, and obviously the normal buckshot, which makes it a versatility powerhouse. You could theoretically switch the Slate and this around depending on how you see things, but I personally just rank it in C tier because of the perks needed and the fact that it still isn't perfect reliability wise, which may be difficult to utilize for a new player. Next we have the Terminus, and the Terminus is pretty much the same story, except it's slightly worse but not quite D tier. It fires slower than the Spectre, it's still not too reliable, but it does get access to levering, which puts it kind of above the Spectre yet again, but it also still has the Spectre flaws of needing Bullet Grubber and, yeah, being more expensive than the Spectre. So at the same time, they both kind of fight for the better spot, but they don't quite make it. They're both good shotguns if you know how to play them, and they can be pretty fun, especially the Terminus with levering. It's just not a beginner weapon. It's not a weapon that I say, oh bro, run this gun, you'll be a god in no time. Not really. The Terminus is slow, clunky, and unreliable in a way. And the Spectre is just simply not that golden when it comes to using it in close range when you miss or perhaps don't get the kill in. Next is the Vetali Carbina. This is a weapon that instantly goes into S tier. High fire rate, good damage, available from the get-go, great training rifle. I recommend this. Like, if you don't like any of the compacts because you say the damage is too low for you or you don't use levering, use the Vetali. Solid gun, good variance. Just not much to say. I mean, it's one of the top guns in the game. It used to dominate high MMR for a long while. Back in the old Hunt where there was no bullet drop, this gun was a budget monster. These days it kind of still is, although it's kind of been a bit dethroned by the silencer nerf for its variant and the addition of bullet drop. Still a great gun, very fun. Not as fast as the Centennial in close range, if you're talking about levering, but otherwise pretty solid all-rounder. I would recommend you use this. Next is the 1865. The 1865 goes into B tier. The main reason it goes into B tier is it's very slow to operate and its velocity is utter dog water. This gun feels like you're shipping your bullets via fucking postal service. Do not use this gun for ranged shots, which is kind of hard as a beginner. You may get shot at range. So I personally just suggest stay away from it. Unless you stick into really close ranges. Can be just very frustrating. So I'd suggest get some experience first, then consider using this gun. It's a bit loving the unloved, but I just can't rank it any higher due to the two important quirks of fire rate and, of course, velocity being very low, which is not ideal for beginners. It does a lot of damage, 4 less damage than the spark, so the enemy within 30 meters is left with 5 HP. That's good, but as I said, fire is very slow, low muzzle velocity. Those things lead to missed shots, which internally get you killed. Finally, almost finally, we have the infantry. The infantry, just like the other Winfields, goes to S tier, compact ammo gun, high rate of fire, levering, relatively cheap. In this case, even comes with the sniper variant, bayonet variant. Yeah, I mean, just copy paste all the Winfields except the Centennial that are named so far and the Terminus, and you've got this weapon. This has an even larger magazine than the Ranger. Doesn't come with the Swift variant, but if you say reloading isn't the issue, I just need a large magazine to begin with. The infantry is your gun. Pretty fun. One gun I forgot to add is the Springfield. The Springfield, in my opinion, belongs in A tier because it's a great sniping rifle, even though it only has one shot. It has a plethora of custom ammos, including explosive for door breaching or setting off barrels, poison to keep the enemy low health, dum-dum to bleed the enemy, / train for weapons such as the drilling or more precision-based weapons. Like, it's a great gun. And it also has high velocity to practice sniping with the marksman variant. Solid beginner gun, not quite as solid as the guns in S tier, but still pretty solid, so the Springfield 1866 goes into A tier. Anyway, it's a pretty long video. My tier list is linked in the description. And so, yeah, have fun with that. And I shall see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one.